Welcome back to a new episode of Search for Self-Discovery with Dario Gutiasco. This time, I am going to talk to you about how to set clear and achievable goals using the SMART methodology. Let's start with the fact that many men struggle to set concrete goals, ending up with vague objectives that are never fulfilled. That's right. In short, they don't even have a concrete way or methodology for how to set goals and objectives. If you stay, I will show you how to master the SMART use and method so you can stop wasting time and start achieving what really matters. Let's get started. The major issue that not only men face, but people all around the world, and this is not exclusive to Mexico, is that people go through life without knowing what to do, what they want to achieve, or how to achieve it. Essentially, they navigate through life as if they were a drifting boat on a river that leads them to a waterfall that will end and destroy them. And I am the perfect example. I have spent a large part of my life seeking success, trying to achieve great things, looking to move forward and progress, without really having a map or a step-by-step guide that told me, look, if you follow these steps, you will get to where you want to be. Unfortunately, it wasn't until I started studying the whole topic of defining and clarifying goals and objectives. You might be wondering at that moment, yes, anything to completely keep me from being bored. No, it is not relevant, but the truth is that if you do not know how to or cannot set clear and achievable goals, you are doomed to a life of failed attempts and broken dreams. Setting vague goals is a recipe for mediocrity. If you and the people around you have not achieved what you desire in life, it may be for various reasons, but one of them is definitely that you do not have a plan to execute step by step. So let's start with point number 1. Unclear goals or objectives are the biggest obstacle to success. I'm going to give you a very simple analogy. Perhaps at some point in your life you had the opportunity to see a small lake, stream, or some place where water was concentrated and had movement, whether natural or caused by animals or people, it doesn't matter. You tried to see to the bottom of the water, but you couldn't due to all this movement and the lack of clarity in the water that prevented you from seeing what was happening. And after waiting a little for everything to settle, you could start to see that there were fish, you could see the color, you could see various things that were happening that you wouldn't have seen before if the water hadn't been clear. Well, that's exactly what the SMART method does. The SMART method essentially helps you see clearly what you want to achieve, and that is what SMART means. It is an acronym in English where the first S stands for specific, M for measurable, A for achievable, R for relevant, and T for time-bound. By having these 5 characteristics when creating your goals and objectives, you will have the chance to set more concrete and actionable goals that bring you directly closer to your objectives simply by defining or having absolute clarity about what you want. Now let's move on to the examples. You probably know someone, a man or someone close to you, who knows exactly what he wants and, to some extent, seems magical or somewhat unreal in how he achieves things. Well, that is what makes a man unstoppable. When all your goals are clear and precise, you eliminate doubt and take full control of your progress. You might be thinking right now that this doesn't work for me. Go and tell it to someone else that doesn't work. Well, let me just tell you, without clear goals, you become a ship adrift, as I mentioned earlier, and not only will you not achieve what you want, but you will end up working or collaborating for someone who does have clear goals and objectives. If your goals are vague, your life will be too. There is nothing more pathetic than a man who lives randomly, just going with the flow, waiting for things to happen instead of making things happen the way he wants. Point number 2, and this is also one of the things I have learned, and it pains me to say that the lack of clarity is an excuse for not acting. Every time I give you this kind of example, I want you to imagine yourself, your experiences, and the people around you, and just observe how people behave, how they act, and you will start to realize that most people who make excuses do so because they don't know what they want or how to achieve it. And that's when they start to throw shade and begin to mess with others. That's when the thought occurs, if things aren't going well for me, then they won't go well for others either, and they end up struggling. The advantage of knowing and using this method that I mentioned, the SMART method, eliminates excuses. Each goal has a clear purpose, a measurable outcome, and a defined timeline. This means there is no room for procrastination or excuses, as you know exactly what to do and when to do it. This is an action plan that keeps you moving towards success. But be careful, don't fall into the trap here. It doesn't mean that just because you dedicated time and set your goals or objectives using the SMART methodology, you will automatically achieve them, because that's not the case either. The best way to see it is that you are expressing or bringing out from your being, from your mind, what you want to achieve, and what you are doing is laying it out in clear steps that you can follow, so you don't depend on your mind and whether you feel like it or not. That's it, that's the whole point. But obviously, you also depend a lot on how you feel on your motivation, on your purpose for doing or implementing these steps, objectives, goals, etc. So if you notice, it's a bit more complex than just using this methodology. We need to have several things aligned for it to work. If any of these things I'm mentioning, and possibly others that I'm forgetting at the moment, are not clear and aligned, any distraction will take you away from your objectives, and you yourself can be a distraction. So don't come to me with the idea that it's only external distractions. Without clarity, you will be a victim of every distraction that crosses your path, whether personal or external. Surely it has happened to you that you want to do something important, that you know you have to work on, that you know you need to do things to move forward or to advance in your desires, in your goals. And the first thing that happens is a friend calls you to go out. A friend or your girlfriend invites you to go eat with their parents, etc. At that moment, you set aside your dreams and goals to prioritize those of others. Essentially, there is an internal and external struggle for your attention, and that is what we need to prevent from happening and take full control of those distractions. And returning a bit to the point, without clarity, goals and objectives are blurry. It's like inviting failure. It's like saying, come, I want to fail. I want things to go badly for me. Come. That's exactly it. You are planning to fail. When you don't plan to succeed, all you need to do is stop doing things, stop planning, stop acting, and anything will cause you to get sidetracked because you don't have a defined direction. So what you do is invite and allow access to these people or internal and external distractions that I mentioned a moment ago, and they will take you anywhere because you don't know where you want to go. Therefore, you also don't know how to say no, both to yourself and to things or people, because you don't know what you want. Thus, everything seems acceptable. Everything is a good idea. 2009. And well, point number 3. Smart goals transform your vision into tangible results. The idea is for you to use this methodology, taking each step to bring you closer to your final goal. You are not dreaming. You are simply acting with precision and focus. These types of smart goals turn your aspirations into reality. And it's not just about thinking big and dreaming, but about doing things with purpose, making every action you take intentional and bringing you closer to what you truly desire, making success inevitable. Let me give you another example. Losing weight is the easiest of all. Let's say you have 10 extra kilo, regardless of whether you are a man or a woman. Do you want to lose weight and don't know how? Well, the truth is we always know how. Essentially, it's about eating better and exercising, period. So let's say you started already. Okay, fine, all good. Then you exercise 1 day, 2 days, 3 days, you're eating somewhat well. But on the 4th, 5th, or 7th day, you fall off and stop doing it, and you just think this doesn't work. It doesn't matter what the plan is. It doesn't matter if it's smart or if a coach gave it to me, etc. This doesn't work. What really doesn't work is your understanding of what needs to be done and how it should be done to reach the goal. So, for example, if they give you a routine and say, all right, you are going to run for half an hour and then do half an hour of weights, you do it. Then they will give you a diet and you will follow it to the letter. Obviously, it is frustrating because you are not used to it. But if you stick with it little by little, over a sufficient period of time, you will start to see the changes. Let's call it a month. 2 or 3 months later, you'll see that you've easily lost 5 kilo without any problem. And really, the difficult part here is obviously doing things with discipline. But above all, it is about stopping being the person you have been up until this moment, before starting this new activity and these new dreams. In addition to checking during those periods, look, this day I ran 2009 for 15 minutes at a certain speed, and the next day I ran for 15 minutes and increased my speed level, and the day after that I ran 3 minutes more, etc. You see the progress and how you are advancing. In addition, you can measure yourself every day, and you will see how you go from 10 kilo extra to -9 or -9,598 down until you reach your goal. That is the measurable part. So if we do not visualize it and do not externalize it in our minds, we will think or perceive that we do not have real progress. We are going to give up and consider them defeated. That's why I said that without using a method like this, or at least knowing it, your goals and objectives will remain just dreams. They will be unattainable, and you will only become frustrated and stop trying things. This part of unreality, that part which is not understandable to oneself at that moment, means that you cannot ground your dreams in concrete goals, and you will remain frustrated, trapped in an endless cycle of unfulfilled aspirations. And that is what frustrates the most, and causes people to become resentful towards themselves, and towards those who want to achieve other things. This means that the only thing it generates is that the same people around you start to throw negativity at you, essentially because they say, if I can't do it, neither can you. I return to that very important point, and this point is super important, and I want to emphasize it here. If you see or have someone close to you, even yourself, who is throwing crap at you saying you can't, who do you think you are? Who do you believe you are? All they are trying to say is that they couldn't and that they don't believe they are capable of achieving it. It has nothing to do with you. It has everything to do with them. What you might think and conclude about those people is that they gave up, and that's it. They are losers. They do nothing with their lives. They don't want to move forward. They surrendered, period. Nothing happens. But the men who take their goals seriously achieve great things. Well, as we reach the end, summarizing everything we've been covering for the last 10 minutes or so, using the SMART method is not just a suggestion. It is a necessity for any man to achieve what he wants. At least use it as an initial step to understand how the process of setting goals and achieving them works. If you continue to struggle with vague and directionless goals, you are choosing mediocrity. Sorry, that's just how it is. But if you have the strength and determination to set clear and achievable goals, then you are ready to leave behind the weak, the mediocre, the losers, and start building a life full of success and purpose. It's not about dreaming, it's about doing. So, are you ready to make your goals a reality? Remember, you are just one decision away from changing your life. See you next time.